Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Do you know of a female right now who's flown those huge airplanes and has their own aviation camp right here in the Carolinas for your kids? Yep, she's back. It's Brenda E. Robinson.
Do you have fear? You're flying airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
You're a tail hooker.
Yes, indeed.
What was your first ride as a tail hooker?
I was flying the Trader C1. It's a very old airplane that does not exist anymore. As a matter of fact, they phased it out completely by 1985. But it is a cargo airplane that carries passengers, or we can pull all the seats out and carry parts, supplies, and we're most popular when we bring mail. So when we're flying out to the ship and we have mail, and anybody who's a Navy pilot knows what the words Charlie on arrival is, well, normally when we go out to the ship, we're nobody, and they stick us out on the side of the ship and let us circle and circle and wait for the air operations to cease, and then they go, okay, now you can land and bring, offload your cargo. We unload cargo because ships still need stuff back and forth to the shore. That's what we're there for. But when we have mail, it's like, clear the deck. As soon as we get there, there's like, okay, you're cleared to land.
You're in.
Oh my goodness, yeah, we're very popular.
Forget about the food. Forget about the food. We need the
about it.
mail.
Yes, right. It's funny. It's a lot of fun.
Well, let's talk about your fear.
Fear factor, yeah.
What's up with? Because she is so pretty, she is so nice, she is so sweet, but she's a beast in the air.
Yeah, that's right. I try to be. Well, I have a type B, introvert, quiet personality. Yeah, and so people kind of take me the wrong way. They think I'm naive or fearful, or whatever they think. But someone else did ask me. We're trying to figure out where I stood in the world, and from 0 to 10, what is your fear factor? And I'm thinking for a second. I go 0, and they go no. Your fear, if you were afraid of things, and I'm like 0. I'm not afraid of anything because it's actually not about being brave. It's not about having courage. That question came up to me one day, landing on aircraft carriers. You land on aircraft carriers, how do you overcome the fear? It's like I never had the fear. I'm all stressed out maybe, and I'm working and concentrating on what I'm doing. Fear is not one of the options, because what I believe is that we had to prepare so much. For the very first time we didn't touch a ship until I had done like 400 landings at an outlying field. Land on this spot right here every single time. You're doing a touch and go. So you take off, you raise the gear, you turn down wind, you're setting your power setting, you're calling on the radio, you're looking for where you're supposed to be, you're dropping the gear, you're dropping the flaps, you're opening the hatch, you're talking on the radios, you're lining up for final, you're doing all of these things. You're picking up a ball, which is a light on the left-hand side of every runway and every ship. It's like a video game. You keep the ball centered. You work your way all the way down to the runway where you touch down at that same spot every time. We practice at a runway. Of course, the hook is not down, but it could be. They have runways where you can practice with the hook down and stuff like that. So we practice. It is motor memory. It is part of you. So if you ever have something that you are fearful of, if you continue to do it over and practice it over and over and over again, you're not fearful. You are dedicated. You're concentrating. The other thing about fear is if you don't understand it, you're going to fear it. What else could there be? People get on airplanes, they sit down, they put their seatbelt on. How can you expect them to be comfortable with that if they know nothing about aviation, if they know nothing about that airplane? And they go down the runway that lifts up into the air, and they're praying that we don't crash, and I go, that's not how airplanes work. But people will come up to me all the time and go, well, I won't get on an airplane. And there's like nothing I can say to that. It's not like I'm going to spend my time trying to convince them you're wrong. That's not the approach.
Right.
Understanding what was going on, they would have to sit in the class that I take. I take lots of classes. I get check rides every year. There's lectures and information and updates and procedures and memorization, all these things that I have to know about that airplane. I'm not afraid of that airplane, but the people that get on the airplane that have never sat in the class with me, of course they would be fearful. So I feel as though if you're fearful of something, you're going to have to spend some time getting to understand what it is. And if it is something that you actually physically have to do, practice. Do it over and over again until you get comfortable with being able to do it. So when you draw on the fear factor, I can't think of a reason to be fearful of something. You know, unless we're dealing with like bad people doing something surprising. That's the only, that's the only thing that I could think of being fear, and I don't spend my time thinking about that.